All right. Good morning, my doggies. It's a new week. It's going to be a great week. We're going to stack days. We're going to keep making some money here. We're going to keep making sure we're making strong decisions, strong offense, so we have a strong P&L and L and a strong life, right? We don't procrastinate over here. We make the right choices at the right time. We're prepared. We're in our seat. We're doing what we got to do to make sure that we're on top of our game. Just did the 20-5-20 with a few hundred of my dogs around the world. We had a nice little workout, listened to a playlist, thought about our positions, what we're going to do, looking for setups and getting with it. Anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. And, you want to make sure your mind is strong so you can execute on the X's and O's. We all look at the same charts. We all have the same process, but not everyone executes with confidence, right? Got to be thinking in the moment. You got to be working on your go time, and you got to be doing all the things you need to do, to execute and make some money so you can provide a living for your family, right? That's what we all want to do out there, and have a little fun along the way. Anyway, so if you remember, everybody was all worried about the government shutdown. Futures were down 30 handles. And we're like, Red Dog, what's going to happen here? I'm like, well, let's see if we hold the 8-day moving average, see what names go green, and keep managing our portfolio approach. I think that was like right around here. That was last week. And I don't think I've mentioned the word shutdown since. I think it's pretty good that the government shut down all their excess bullshit spending. Anyway, with that being said, they're becoming a little bit more irrelevant, and things are just moving along. Listen, not everything's created equal. Mega cap tech is a little heavy. If you're stuck focusing on names that made us money 3 months ago, chances are you're frustrated. If you're not moving your feet, you're probably a little frustrated. If all you're doing is shorting the market because you're following the wrong people, you're probably frustrated. If you're looking for setups that are strong, if you're looking for relative strength, if you're looking for, if you're a portfolio approach when the S&P is above the 8-21 day, if you're using a tier system to net money and let winners ride, or take a trade and then, it doesn't go where it's supposed to go and fail, then, you're doing well. A lot of my dogs are at the highs of their year, highs of their quarter. They're using multiple approaches, whether it's a 401k, a 529, you name it. Anyway, let's get to it. So what now? You got to continue to, if you have a lot of positions on, you trim into strength, to net some money, and then you see how things develop. At this point, again, we had a little bit of a wishy-washy day on Friday. On Friday, mega cap tech started to not only just be out of place, start to kind of, lean over. So it brought a sell program in midday, but all in all, didn't mean much. Here's your 8-day moving average. Now here we are again at 671.67, just moving along. All everyone talks about is an AI bubble and a stock market bubble. Usually, bubbles pop when everybody's bullish. Still a lot of people out there so bearish, and the trends are continuing. A lot of people are fighting it. I'm not fighting it. I'm just trying to net money, and I'm trying to keep my dogs in the right things at the right time. Anyway, there's a lot of things that look good out there. First of all, so this is a quickie of the SPYs, 672.67. Usually when we're up 2 and change, I sell some premium as a hedge, trim some positions, and I continue to manage them. A lot of people like, hey, Red Dog, look at the IWM 5-year chart. So, I like to show the 5-year chart so people can have a little perspective that, as extended as we are, look at the small caps. The small caps just basically built a 5-year, cup and handle pattern where it's above the 8-day on the weekly, looking like it's going to go. When the small caps are going, I tell you, it's a lot of fun because a lot of names trigger, a lot of names go, a lot of names just come up on a filter, and you get some groups that work together, and it's a lot of fun. I also like when mega cap tech is great. I love when mega cap is, above the 8-day and you have momentum and you could roll up options. But anyway, this is what the small caps look like. So, it doesn't look too bearish here. Anyway, so some people are like, hey, Red Dog, what about Tesla now that they sold the strength in the deliveries? I'm like, well, hopefully you use your sell rules, because you had every opportunity in Tesla, if you were holding it and managing a tier system like we were. And, here, this is when it started, 355, 357, that morning, I was sitting here at the 630 Club, or at least with the Alpha team. I'm like, hey, guys, take some profits into this. It's a strong number. So if you took profits into strength, which is sell rule 1, and then it didn't hold the prior high, that's sell rule number 2, you're out of the way. And now what? We'll see. So I went out on the close and I bought some options out a week just in case it rebuilds, just in case, I don't want to hyper focus on it. And we'll see how it goes from 470 down to, how low did it get? It got to 416.57. That's your new point of reference. We'll see what happens next year. This is not an A setup anymore. It was an A setup. It was fast. It was furious. It was great. And now it's got to rebuild, get on the back burner. But if you did into the 21-day buy some options, that makes sense. I don't even remember which ones I bought. I bought the TSLLs. I went out a few weeks. But anyway, what's up, Specialist? What up, Golden Sunlight? What up, Ashish? What up, James? What up, guys? You think new highs are coming in Tesla? Well, okay. Well, here it is. So let's see what Tesla's doing this morning. Tesla, last I looked, was up 9. It's up 10, which is nice, considering I bought some options into the belly of the beast. Is 440. Let's see. What would I say that would help the rebuild process here? Well, let's go like this. So this low is what? This low is 440.76. Okay, so let's see. Can it get above and stay above 440.76? I don't know. I'm probably not going to trade Tesla today. I bought options. I might even trim a little bit of the options I bought on the close, and then see how it reacts, because it's, it needs time. All these mega cap techs. So if I were to make a list of what are the best mega cap techs real quickly, because I don't even want to spend too much time here. Google looks good. A lot of you guys are buying the 21-day in Google. That makes sense. Strong had a pro gap here, never got filled, hit 256. Some of you guys sold when it broke right there. And if you did, now you were able to buy some back. And we'll see, does it clear this spot? So Google looks really good. Google looks nice and set up. But I don't know if mega cap tech is going to get any power, because again, that's not where the funds are flowing. But Google looks pretty good. I think Apple looks pretty good. Apple got downgraded on Friday and still didn't go lower. I think I bought the 260 calls for this Friday, just in case it wants to get above and stay above. What is this? 259.24 and stretch. I think anyone who's a seller of Apple already sold Apple. So you still have the buyback. You still have a lot going on here. I do think it's going to take out this trade. I think Apple could be a good focus of this week. That it takes out this trade. It takes out this level, takes out 260. I know this sequence has been really strong ever since August 6th. It's been above the 8 and 21 days since. So Apple still looks good. So Apple and Google still look technically the best. Tesla needs to rebuild. Microsoft looks pretty good too. It's just a little bit tricky in here, but this can get a stretch day. It's got to get above and stay above 520.30. Some of you guys are in options, 520 calls. If you're long versus 506, sometimes it's easier than adding on strength. So that looks pretty good. So out of all of those names, that looks pretty good. Decent. If you remember last week, I was hyper focused on NVIDIA as a money trade through 184.50. I said if it gets through 184.50, you could blow on it and it could be 190. I had 3 different sets of options and the stock. It hit like 191 and then pulled in a little bit. So let's see how NVIDIA rebuilds. I'm in some shares and I'm in some options. It's not as, it's not really an A setup, but it's fine. It held the 8-day, pulled in, retested the spot. This is where I really loved it, right in here. There's a time and place when the setup's ready to go and when it's going. But anyway, Amazon's a pain in the ass. I'm not even going to talk about Amazon. It's sitting in here. I said maybe you could see the moving averages, and it did. I think Jeff's, I don't know. I don't like Jeff. Bezos is just right now at this point, he's not doing the right thing by his shareholders. Him and McKenzie, they own 19% of the damn company, and every time the stock has good news, they're filing and selling. And then for him to come out and talk about a bubble in the stock market, he's not helping his former company. Elon went out there and stimulated his stock, bought $1 billion worth of stock in the open market. And here, Jeff and McKenzie are selling stock every single month and quarter, and he's flapping about, bubbles. So anyway, Amazon is just a laggard. I'm so done with this name. Usually when I'm done with it, it means it's ready to go. But I'm just saying, I put on some 225 calls into this weakness. We'll see if it wakes up. I am not anticipating. Sometimes anticipating is really good, but sometimes you anticipate and you just keep funding a bad trade. And this broke the wedge to the downside. It's below the moving averages, while so many things are doing so much better. If you guys remember, I anticipated this move in Bitcoin. This was a really big trade for us on the Alpha team everywhere. 2 weeks ago, I'm like, hey guys, we want to be buyers of Bitcoin. I went out and I bought calls for mid-October, for the first week in November. I talked to you guys about this inverted head and shoulders pattern in Bitcoin itself and how we were going to navigate it. And basically, it's been absolutely fantastic. For those of you for those of you who watch the 630 Club, I went over this with you guys besides the Alpha team very close. I said, hey guys, when this happened right here, I'm like, this could be the right shoulder of an inverted head and shoulders pattern. And I bought what did we buy? I bought the $67 calls. 67. We bought the $67 calls. So we're in the money on 2 sets here. And then I said you could use the tier system and add if it gets through 117. And bottom line is, what a move. This has been where the action is. It's been fantastic. I said it can go to 135. I talked about this in the 25-20 in the sauna. I'm like, guys, I think that, we're going to be buying options. I'm going to do it as a power play. It's going to make us a lot of money. And then once it triggers, we're going to buy every dip. And, kind of had that gap up here. We triggered in here, and it's been fantastic. I'm in Ethereum also. We bought SBET calls. If you remember that too, that's not a SBET. I think I bought these calls with everybody for $1, so $1.10, and it looks like I sold a little bit of $1.70s. Looks really good. Guys were buying BMNR calls. Looks like it's on its way. It's looking really good. And then the Wolf. Remember, guys, I was playing around like the red dog on the Wolf. I'm buying every dip I can in the Wolf. And meanwhile, that was that was here. That was in here. We were doing that. So yes, it's not Amazon. It's not Netflix, but the Wolf. And we were buying it in here. And look at this. Today, the Wolf is opening up at a new high. So, here's IBIT. I'm long that. I'm going to trim and trail. Here's the Wolf. Going to trim and trail. Some of you guys are in iron. Unfortunately, I took the trade off on Friday, which was dumb. But, look at that group. Look at that. Yes, it's not, mega cap tech, but if you move your feet and find good setups, you can keep doing it. What's my number one focus today? You know what? I'm in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I'm in 22 longs and options. I'm going to trim and trail when the SPYs are up. I have to be cash up 24 handles. I have to trim some things and hold some things. If you guys remember, I was telling you guys about QS. Last week, I said I was buying options and options and options and options in QS here for it to take out 14 and 15. And there you go. We were also in it down here. What a nice trade. Wasn't this a really nice trade, everybody? Yes. Anyway, look at that move. Actually, Serve is one of my bigger trades. I'm pretty big in Serve right now. I'm in a lot of options. I think it works its way back to 15 and continues. That looks awesome. AMD is not so great. AMD, I bought calls on that, whatever that day was last week, and I sold 75%. I bought the 165 calls. I said it can go to 171, and it did. I sold 75% using my tier system. The last 25% I broke even on, and then I just kind of rolled them up for this week. But wishy-washy, not great. It's, some things are good, some things are bad. Datadog looks good on the weekly. That's one of the more. I'll take a look at Datadog. Anything that is dog in it, I'll take a week. I'll look. Yeah, look at that. It's not so bad. I don't really trade this that often, but it's got a high level spot. Yeah, that looks good. looks. I would say this looks pretty good. I'm probably not going to do anything with it. I probably should just for data though. But anyway, did I buy Palantir on Friday? No, I did not. Actually, some people got stopped out of Palantir on Friday. Like this is a nasty move. Look at this wide range. Like so, listen. There's definitely some nasty moves out there. This was nasty. Got below a prior low, lost the 8. They lost a 21 day. That was that was pretty nasty. So listen, it's not all sunshines and rainbows in the life or the stock market. Some things are pretty nasty. That's why you got to be on your toes. That's why you have to have a tier system. That's why you have to, be like I'm up at 4:45 every day. I look at the market 3 different ways. I'm up at 4:45. I wake up, I drink my water, I get ready to go. I go in the sauna. I've already read 2 notes. I'm thinking about my positions. I'm thinking about levels. I'm thinking about what I got to do in life. Also, I'm talking. We're listening to great playlists. I'm kind of embedding thoughts in my head. And then I'm coming here, going through a bunch of things with you guys at the 630 Club. And then, once I'm done here, boom, 40 charts. I'm going over levels. If this breaks, I'm out. If this gets above and stays above here, I'm adding. Joby, yeah, JLBY. That's been a great trade. I'm still in that. That whole group, the whole Arrow group has been fantastic. Look at that. We were buying it in here, though. Look at that bull flag. Oh, doesn't that look like a bull flag? On the weekends, I post chart pattern posts, say, hey, these can make you money. Well, guess what? These can make you money. But if you tried it in here a few times and lost and your mind wasn't right because you're not, doing things to keep yourself ready to go with your go time, then you missed out. Meanwhile, I don't know what's it doing this morning. It's up 40 cents. Not so bad. JLBY I'm in this RDW. Looking pretty good. I'm in ACHR. Looking pretty good. So this whole space. So yeah, it's not Microsoft. It's not Netflix. It's not, all the names that are Amazon, but there's a different group. There's a new group of sheriffs in town, and that was JLBY. Where could RDW go? It's got a room. It's in this, just starting to go. It's not a, great looking trade, but it was something to do. ACHR. Look at that candle. I remember on Friday when things were pulling in and people getting upset, I'm like, ACHR is not pulling in. That's strong, right? SPY's got wishy-washy. This showed relative strength. So, yeah, you know what? A TEM. I bought options in TEM. I like this trade. I think, tried to do a breakout. Okay, went to 97.99, got above here. Just had a move. I think if you go like this now, create like, a little bit of an upper flag here. I'm probably not going to trade it, but I did buy some options. I bought some options on Friday, and I added to it on the pullback. And this has the ingredients of a real big move. Remember MBIS? That was one of my biggest positions for a while, and unfortunately, I don't own it anymore because it's just I probably should own it just to trim and trail it. But remember how many times it took for this NBIS to finally really get going? And it did. This is when I was all over it. This is when I had it for earnings, and and here is where we're buying those options, and I kind of lost sight of it. That's why sometimes you have to have something, even if it goes against you. But this was a great trade. I think TEM has the makings of, like, you go to the weekly chart of this thing. It's a newer name. It's in the right sector. I do think that this is something that you could stay with. Remember Pony? Remember the race between the pony and the wolf? Well, the wolf. Okay. Hold on one second here. Just happened. Someone just came out on the video, maybe. Anyway, so I do think TEM has the ingredients to to do that. So remember the wolf. Here you go, 14 to 1680 on the weekly. That's where the projections were, and that was down here. Remember Pony? Still in Pony. I'm still in Pony calls. Remember this chart? No one knew what Pony was, and I'm like, hey, let's go with it. Pony versus the wolf. Meanwhile, all right, guys, something's cooking here a little bit. This is NVIDIA. Just kind of started to trade a little bit, faster. So just look at that. I'm not sure what the news is. There's got to be something going on a little bit right here. But anyway, so with that said, listen, get up, get on your game. It's a new week. Just friggin', stack some wins, have your expectations lowered. If things work out, fantastic. Let the market come to you. Don't have FOMO. Don't start chasing things. If you're coming in today flat-footed, it's kind of hard to come in and buy the spies here. You don't need to buy the spies up 260. Ooh, that's good. Oh, look at that. AMD. I bought those options on friggin' Friday, and we have it on. Do I have that on as a power play? I hope so. Wow. All right, all right, all right. Let's see. I know I definitely rolled into AMD options on Friday. All right. Anyway, so here's the Alpha team talking. All right. Anyway, listen, 6:52. Let's get going. Things to do every day. Wow. OpenAI buys AMD chips right before our very eyes on the 6:30 club. So I bet you NVIDIA. Let's see what NVIDIA. NVIDIA. I don't think NVIDIA gets crushed on it, but that's definitely exciting for AMD. I got to check my options and see how many I have. There you go. Let's go, Adam Bush. Let's go. Anyway, just settle in, my dogs. Don't let your highs get too high, your lows get too low. Wow, AMD. Look at that, just like that. All right, I got to check to see what's happening here. Make sure. With that said, that could be a good start to a Monday. As I said in the ice barrel today, I'm like, you got to love Mondays, my dogs. So much opportunities. People hate Mondays. They're pressing the snooze alarm on Mondays. Today, there's no snooze. If you were in bed, like, oh, I don't want to get up, then chances are, you're not getting your rest. You're not excited about the market. You're not holding positions. You're not making great decisions. And, you got to freaking make some changes in your life, my dogs. The only way you make changes is by making changes. Let's see. So this is 171. Where could AMD get to? This is 186. I got to check this out. I'm hoping because my options don't load on my virtual trading floor until I look. All right, guys, I'll be back. Or probably won't. No, I got to go do my 40 charts. Got to get myself cooking and figure it out. Listen, by the way, if you joined Red Dog Mindset already and you subscribed above, you're locked in. I did tell some people that I'm going to leave public Twitter probably. I'm not exactly sure when. I just can't take every time I tweet, there's 40, 50 bots. I can't even see my community anymore about when they ask me questions or interact or this and that. So, if you do find value in the 630 Club and I've made you money for free without you, if you haven't done anything else, subscribe to Red Dog Mindset. You'll get the 20 and 520. You'll get the 630 Club. You got everything I do on the public Twitter, there, but you won't be getting public tweets anymore. Not yet. Probably we're going to start that in 2026. But I got to figure out a better method because, and Twitter, it's just absolutely nuts the way, I can't see. Like when I go subscribers, I can see comments like today, that great workout, love the playlist. I saw your crypto call in the sauna, and then I saw it at the 630 Club. It really embedded in my head to execute with confidence, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, where's AMD now? Up 32. All right, guys, have a great day.